All right, guys, welcome back to week 2 summary class. And as I said in the chat, that I will take 30 minutes and we will try to figure out if there is any questions that I can help you understand. So I see one question coming from Hirsch, and the question is in the Slack. So he's saying that while practicing, he was running this particular command, driver.find elements by expert .send keys, this particular line, right? So you got to understand, Hirsch, that you are trying to use something called as driver.find elements. Find elements method is returning back multiple elements. It is not one element, it is multiple elements. So you cannot work with multiple elements and hit .send keys on that. Why is that? Because driver.find elements is returning back multiple elements. So basically your command over here is wrong because you're trying to work on 2-tab search text box. Is that Amazon or somewhere else? This is
Amazon.
Amazon, exactly. So in the Amazon, you're trying to work with one single element in that page. So you need to use find element instead of elements.
Oh, okay.
So listen, this is what the thing is, right? There's a difference between driver.find element, and driver.find elements. I have told you guys earlier as well that when you are trying to work on any, when you are finding any issue, try to inspect and figure it out what exactly this method, this method, this is not the method, that's the WebDriver object. This is a method, what this method is actually returning back. If you are just hovering your mouse on top of this method, find element, you will see that it returns back a web element object. And in the web element object, you can definitely perform .send keys, no problem at all. However, find elements method returns back a list of web elements because you are trying to find multiple elements. So obviously, it's a list of web elements. What is a list? List is a Java collection, okay, which I'll talk to you about it in details later on. But list of web element is something that you will be getting in from this method.
So we get 0 is like getting the first element.
Exactly. So basically, when you get this list, then you basically need to perform. Whatever the list you're getting. So list.get, and then you can say whichever index it is. And then if you say 0, then that's the first element. And then you can perform send keys. You understand? So that is what you're
sense. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. All right. I said first 30 minutes, I'm going to give you guys time to go through any problems that you have encountered in the previous week. Is there anything that you want to discuss before I jump into the discussion? Any questions? Cynthia, do you have any questions? Shoaib, yeah.
Souvik, can we, on class 7, there are 2 assignments. So in both the assignments, you have asked to verify if the link is correct.
Yeah.
How do we do that? I mean, is that the same concept as the broken link? Do we have
exactly?
Okay.
You remember that I have shown you a section where I said you need to fire a HTTP request to figure it out that you're getting a 200 response or not.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much about it.
Okay. All right. No, because in the Eclipse, I was thinking, how can we do that?
What do you mean in Eclipse?
Because that you've included step. Let me just see. So what you've said is confirm that the proper link was accessed or not as step 2.
Okay,
so do we have to print anything on that?
Let me go to the class 7. Hold on. and there is assignment. Okay. And here, okay. So I spoke about, which assignment are you talking about? This one?
Assignment 2.
Assignment 2. Okay, so wisdom QA class, go to the proper link was accessed or not. Click on login button, confirm appropriate page displayed on. Okay. Print the error message. Where is the link validation? Yes, it's this one, step number 2.
Yeah.
Confirm that the proper link was accessed or not. This is a different requirement, sorry. So what I'm expecting is that, let me go to wisdomqa.com, right? And when you click on login, just a minute.
No, I've done the rest of the step. I've clicked on login and I've clicked on, and I got the error message. I printed the error message as well. But I didn't understand what you mean by proper link was accessed or not.
Confirm the proper link was accessed or not. I think, wait a minute, I did this assignment sometime back. Let me see. So 1 minute. Inspect. There is an anchor tag. No, I don't think that is important. You can skip that step. You need to just click on this link because this is not taking you to any other. I'm not really calling any other navigation in this page. This is basically a button that brings up a simple form for us, just like that.
Yeah.
And you can see that it is not really changing any link over here. So this is nothing to do with the HTTP request. Okay. So you can ignore that step. All right. Let me actually ignore that step right now so that you can click on the login button. I think that is what you need here. Yeah.
And Souvik, in assignment 1, where we had to verify the title of the page. So I got the title of the page using get.title.
Get title, yeah.
Yeah. Then what I did was I did an if statement. Now I printed the title, and then I got if statement title dot equals to whatever I see on the system, and the else. So, but my answer is not accurate. So I said if the title is what we are getting is equal to what
number 1, are you using double equals?
No, I'm title dot equals.
Equals is the right thing. Okay, equals is the right thing. And
should I just send you this in Slack? And do you want to discuss this on
yeah, it? Yeah, absolutely, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to send you from driver.get.
Yeah, just send it to me. Yeah. Guys, if you have any questions you want to discuss next, please start getting prepared for it.
Done, Souvik.
Okay, let's see. What have we done here? Number 1, I see a space here. Are you confident you see the space?
Oh, let me. Oh yes, I've put this space there.
Can you remove that and just give it a try?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Oh, it's working now.
Yeah.
Just a small thing. Yeah.
No problem. That's fine.
Mm.
Anybody else is having any questions?
Suvik,
Mhm.
so I have a question regarding the next step, I think is in assignment 2.
Okay.
So when I have to press the login button in Wisdom QA,
Yeah.
so it doesn't open the login details, like where to type the login details.
Yeah.
So it seems press the button because it becomes white. So like when you press manually,
Yeah.
but doesn't come up the sign into your account page, this one, like this window.
I know. So basically what is happening is this,
Mhm.
right? When you click on this button, right? This action is taking some time depending on your network situation or depending on a different environmental situation. For me, it is coming immediately. For you, it may take few seconds to come up. Now, how will you say your code to wait until this section comes out? How will you say that? So there is something that I haven't really discussed about. We will discuss about it. It's called syncing, like the code syncing with the application. So syncing your code with actual app, right? So this is something that is done using something called as two options: implicit wait, and explicit wait, right? So we will talk about both of them in a greater detail in future, but for now, wherever you are whenever you are instantiating the WebDriver, for example, you are instantiating the WebDriver, something like this, you're saying WebDriver equals new Chrome driver, or maybe Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver, whatever you're doing here. Whenever you are instantiating the WebDriver object, after the instantiation is done, the first thing that you would like to do is this. This is a configuration that you're using in one place, but you will have the effect everywhere. Why this configuration is working, I will talk about that later when the right time comes. But for now, you can just give this statement, driver.manage dot timeout. And over here, you can say duration of 5 seconds or 10 seconds, something like that, right? So when you are providing this option here, okay, you are basically giving a configuration to your code saying that before it throws no such element exception, please wait for at least 10 seconds before you throw this exception. So this is basically a configuration that you are setting. I can show this setting to you when I am coding right now in the screen. I'll show this setting to you so that you don't get confused. All right. And if you do that, then it will not have a problem. Your code will still be working.
Okay, so it's like giving the time to the website to be completed before clicking on the bottom. It's
Yeah,
like...
you're giving the time to your code, actually. You're giving the time to your code so that the application is ready so that you can perform the click. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. No problem at all. Any other questions?
So with this one line, Souvik, every event, like if we have multiple clicks on a system,
yeah,
the code will take care of,
that's
waiting
right.
for the.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We'll talk about that. There is much more into it. I'm just giving you the configuration so that you don't get that error message anymore, or the issue anymore. But there is much more into it. There is a good amount of difference between page load timeout, implicit wait timeout, and explicit wait timeout. And we will talk about that in details. Any other questions? Gijo, Keith, any other questions that I can answer?
Yeah, actually, when we use, what happened when we use thread.sleep?
Thread.sleep is a different strategy altogether. You got to understand that thread.sleep is from Java perspective. So thread.sleep, you're giving, say, 5,000 milliseconds,
Yes.
which is like 5 seconds, right? The
Yes.
problem with this thread.sleep is that it is a hard-coded timeout or a waiting mechanism that you're setting in your code. This is Java perspective. Okay?
Okay.
Nothing to do with Selenium. Nothing to do with Selenium. However, the timeout that I'm trying to set, driver.timeout, manage.timeout, right?
Mhm.
This is the one that I'm trying to asking you guys to set. This is from Selenium perspective. Selenium perspective. Now, what's the difference in this two? Number one is this, which is very, very important. For example, you're giving a timeout of like 10 seconds. Okay. It could be possible that that small overlay, the small overlay is coming to you or is shown in the screen within 2 seconds or 8 seconds. So as soon as this particular overlay is coming into your screen, this waiting mechanism will stop. It will not wait for another 8 seconds. If it is coming to you within 2 seconds, it will not wait for another 8 seconds. Because this is designed for Selenium related situations. However, this guy over here is just working with Java, which means it doesn't matter whether your overlay is appearing or not. It will still be pausing your code for 5 seconds. It is not dynamically configured with the Selenium WebDriver, you know. So this is the reason why there is a huge difference between those two. You should not ever use thread.sleep because that's a very, very bad practice. And also thread.sleep is something that you have to use in multiple places because in a particular line where you're setting thread.sleep, it will just sleep for 5 seconds only in that particular situation. But in future, if you have any such requirement where you have to wait for some few more seconds, this previous thread.sleep will not work. You have to again add a thread.sleep. That is not something that we prescribe at all. We prescribe always to have one global configuration, which will take care of your waiting mechanism, waiting issues.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the difference.
actually, I use the thread.sleep and yeah, change that one.
Yeah, you use the thread.sleep and it worked for you, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But then that is not the right thing to do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Papi, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any question myself so far. So
Okay, so your learning is doing okay? Okay. Shay, any questions?
No questions.
All right, good stuff. Okay, so then let's get started. Things are going to be a little bit complicated because we are getting started with Java, but we have to learn this. There's no ifs and buts with that. So let's go into it. Okay, just give me 2 seconds.
So I have a doubt.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds here. 2
Yeah.
seconds. Yeah. Yeah, Gio, please tell me what is this issue?
Yeah, actually, in a normal scenario, if we are not provided with create a new function or new class,
Mhm.
how do we identify how to classify the things, like how to create a class or how to define a function? How do
So
we?
basically, your question is this: that how do you know that you need to create a class?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, if we get a big problem, then how we divide it into some classes?
Yeah. So that is exactly what we are going to discuss today. All right.
Okay.
So let's see. Number one is you have to understand that in Java, classes are nothing but it works as a template. It's a templating system. All right. When I say template system, I don't know if you guys have worked on some kind of a Microsoft Word templates. You know that in the templates, you basically define the structure. For example, you're trying to write a letter to someone or write a letter to multiple groups of people, and you can create a template, right? A template which will obviously have a name, and then you have an address, and then probably your subject, and then you have your body of the letter, and and then finally your signature, right? Now the point is, when you are making this in the word system, I'm not sure whether you have seen this or not, but in a Word, you have an option to create a template. And in the template mechanism, what you can do is all these names and stuff, right? You can basically make them as a variable. You can make them as a variable, like within brackets. Okay. Now, name, address, subject, probably the body will be same, but signature will be same, but few of the content of this particular letter will be different because each and every letter is going to different person, different address. Now you created a template. So now think about it. When you're creating a template, other than just the body, other than just the, what is happening? Okay. Other than just the body and the subject, other than just the body and the subject and the signature, okay, these three things will not be changing. However, name and address has to change because they are going to be sent to different people. So the actual data that will decide that the letter is sent to a particular person is not within the template, if you're understanding it. This is just a placeholder. Think about it. If I want to describe it in a different way, it is just a simple placeholder. The placeholder is for name and another placeholder is for address. So name and address are two different placeholders which can have the actual data. Go on, did you?
Yeah, that can accept values from the.
That can accept values, that can hold actual data. But your data is in a different place. Your data is in a different place. In case of Word, I think they use in the Word there is a form or something like that where you can basically add all the names and address. Okay, in case of Word, but for us, it will basically be the object, the class object. So you understand in a nutshell right now that there are basically two entities. Number one is your templating system, which is the class. And number two is your object, which is basically responsible to hold the data. You can say data management, right? System. Other words, it's an object. Okay, you separated out two different things. Now, what's the benefit of doing this? Number one is just have one entity that has the whole structure of the template. Okay, and then you have another entity that supplies the data into it. Instead of writing hundreds of letters, you're actually writing one letter and you're supplying data to it, and then you're generating hundreds of letters, which means you are saving time the smart way. This is, in a nutshell, what is class and what is object. In a nutshell, it's much more into it. So from Gijo's question, how do I know that, hey, I need to create a class? All right, how do I know I need to create a class? So it all depends on your requirement. I gave you a requirement about the word templates, and you understood that the requirement was that I need to create one single template and I need to generate hundreds of letters with that template. So that was one requirement. Okay, now there is another situation here that I'm trying to describe here. That is, I am a car, let's say I have a carpool company. So what is it? I have a carpool company. Carpool company, meaning what? Meaning that I have bunch of cars. So in my carpool, okay, let's see from the very higher level. So this is a carpool. A carpool company runs with two things. Ideally, there are many more things, but ideally there are two things. Number one is obviously the cars. Number two is obviously the users, right? You can say carpool meaning this, right? I will not say it's a carpool company. I'm talking about the car rental company. Let's give it a better name. It's not the carpool, but it's a car rental. Okay. Car rental. So for this car rental company, I have two different main entities. Okay. One is car, another one is users. So users will come to the car rental company. They will ask for the car. Car rental company will look at the list of available cars in their system. And if they say that, okay, I have a particular car available, I will give that car to the user. Now, from this whole situation, you can easily figure it out that how many classes we will require. We will definitely need two classes, because you will not be creating for each and every user, you cannot create a separate entities. You will use one single entity called as users that will hold all your user information, and you will have one entity which is called cards that can hold all your car information. To hold the car information or to hold user information, you don't need to create each and every card separately, or each and every card's details separately. You can easily use our classes and object situation and create one car class and one user class, and then add multiple users to it and add multiple cards to it. And then you can say that this user wants a particular car, and then you go and give the card to the user. Is this making sense?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we'll try to get this whole thing done into this class today. All right, so let's see from this particular diagram. What am I doing? I'm saying I'm trying to create a car template, and from the car template, I'm actually going to create multiple templates, multiple cards. I'll create a card template, and then from there, I will be creating multiple cards. Now, see this. I'm creating a Java class. I'm creating a Java class. In this Java class, when I create, you have to think and kind of realize that in a template of a car, what are the main components that you want to really you're really concerned about? You're definitely concerned about the brand of the car. You're concerned about the model of the car, maybe the engine size, and maybe the seating capacities. So these four, in this example, I'm taking these four entities, which will basically, which I think is necessity for the car that I am trying to hold in my system. Okay, so then I will create a class for this situation. How will I create a class? Let's go to the system and let's say new Java project, and we'll say week2 summary class, right? And finish. All right. And then there I go and say new package. And in the package, I'm going to say, let's see, car rental. Let's see if we can create that same situation that I was talking about. So car rental. Okay, that's my package. Inside this, I'm going to create two different entities. Obviously, class car, that is my first template. You see, I'm not using this keyword, this check here, public static void main. No, this is not my class this is not the class which will be acting as a main class. So how do you say it's a main class? A class with a main method is a main class from where the actual project or actual Java code gets kicked up. That's a main class. So this is not my main class. It is just going to be acting as a template, nothing to do with the main class. So I'm not going to click on this checkbox. I'll just say a simple car, just like that. This car, public class car, it is within the car rental package. Simple as that. Now, firstly, we need to understand something. That is what this car is going to consist. Like, what are the entities that I'm concerned about, that I want to hold in this car template? Obviously, I'm going to hold the brand name and the model. These two things are very important for me. So I'm going to say, okay, I haven't really spoken about the access specifier, so that's okay. I'll make it all public. All the methods, I will make it all the methods and variables, I'll make it as public. I'll say public string brand name. Okay. Sorry. Public string brand name, public string model name. Okay. And then probably I'll give seating capacity. All right. Seating capacity is obviously in integers. So I'll say public int.
You don't write public in default setting. It's always public, isn't it?
No. Default is different than public.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I will talk about that when I discuss access modifiers. But for now, I'm saying public int seats, right? Basically, I have created these 3 entities that I'm concerned about for this car. Okay, these are my global variables. What is the difference between global variable and local variable? Thing is that you have created these variables at the very top of the class, which means that these variables can be accessed by any other entity in this class. When I'm saying entity, I mean methods, I mean constructors. Constructors, don't worry about this. I'll talk about that later on, but you know what is a method a little bit, at least. So methods will be accessing it. How do you do that? It's simple. You say public void, right? So you see at this stage, let me do something. At this stage, what is the default value for these variables? Can anyone guess? What are the default values?
0.
Think about it again.
Null.
Null, 0.
Exactly. Very good, Shoaib. Null, 0. This is null, and this is 0. Right? Very good. Okay. So that's that. Right? Now I need to set some information into it. Just with this guy here, it doesn't make sense. All right. So I can set some information into it. So how do I do that? I can do something like this. I can say public void. Okay. Set brand name. All right. Set brand name. Set brand name is a method. This will allow me to set some value inside this variable. Okay. How will you set the value inside this variable? How will you set the value inside this variable? You can set the value inside this variable if this method is accepting some kind of a parameter, argument. You see, right now this method is having empty brackets, which means it is not accepting any parameter, any argument. But if I go and say string brand, this will then allowed, so this will then is now configured to accept some string value because it's a string argument. Don't worry, I'll talk about methods in future in details, but for now, this is how I'm sending some data inside. I'm sending some data inside the method, right? I'm sending some data. Somebody will have to call this method, and they have to call the method with a brand name or with a string value. And then that value will be passed on inside this method, right? So how do you do that? I'm saying my plan is to set this brand to this brand name. How do you do this? I say brand name equals brand. See that? Brand name equals brand. That's my brand name. The brand name is getting the value. Okay. I also have to set for models and for seats. So I can do one thing. I can do like go on adding these things manually, one by one, or I can take the help of Eclipse to do this heavy lifting, right? How can I do that? Very simple. We call it in Java getters and setters. Getters and setters. What I'll do is I'll simply remove this entire thing. And then I'm going to select the 3 variables. I'll go to sources inside the Eclipse, and you see generate getters and setters, just like that. Hit it. When you hit it, you get this option. You're saying select getters and setters to create. Okay, so you obviously want to do it for all 3 of them, number 1, and then it's asking whether you want to get only the getters or you want to get only setters. So for me right now, I am concerned about setters. I'm not really concerned about getters. Getters means you are going to get value of each and every of these elements individually, each and every one of them. Okay, let's create both setters and getters, and then I'll remove the getters. That's fine. Okay, and then I'll say generate. Let's do that. When I do it, you will notice that, just a second, some code got added into my Eclipse, right? A few things got added. What are these things got added? So look into it clearly. You have set brand name. That's a method I was showing you, and string brand name. And then you say brand name equals brand name. You see, there is a keyword that is added called this. Don't get confused for now. I will talk about this keyword in future, but just right now, just be concerned about the situation, that is, I am getting some value over here and I'm setting the value inside this variable so that the variable can have some information. Okay, good. And then you can see at the same time, there is a method called get model name or get brand name. These methods are doing what? These methods are simply returning the value that has been set with the set brand name. It is just returning the value. That's it. However, in this situation, I don't need to really use them. I will remove all my getters. Okay, I just have setters just like that. And then I will create one particular method. Instead of getting the brand name, model, and seats individually, I just have only one method, public void, and I'll say print car info, something like that. Okay, this is a method that is not going to accept any arguments, okay, but it is going to perform a simple task. The simple task is this. It's going to print out a statement. Sys out. I'm going to say I want to print out car details, right? Car details, and then car details is basically the brand name. And then I'm going to concatenate that with a simple structure, I just can concatenate with a simple hyphen so that it looks good. And then I'll say plus model name. And I will say, right, seats. Actually, car details. I should give something that will make sense, right? Brand, model, and then seats, right? And this is your seats. Okay, I hope this simple string makes sense to everyone. All am I doing is I'm just adding a string and then adding a variable in between so that the string can have dynamic values. Okay, so and I'm using basically a plus to concatenate the variable with the string here, so on and so forth. That's it. So I have this entire print car info. Okay, let's create another class. New class. Let's create the class called user.
Yes, Please, Suzuki, would you please repeat how you generated automatically the
Getters and setters, right?
yes, get it, please.
Yeah, it's very simple. You firstly select the variables that you are going to use for getters and setters, and then you go to source, and then you go to generate getters and setters.
Ah, perfect. Thanks.
And then you select all these values and then say generate.
Okay, thanks very much.
No problem. Thank you. So let's talk about another class here. This is users. In a car rental company, for a user, probably at this stage, I am mostly concerned about the name, maybe the age, and maybe the location. Okay, I don't think anything else I need here. Age required because I will probably have to check their age and see whether these guys are allowed for driving or not. Location is required. Yeah, it's maybe required, maybe not required. Leave about that, but then at least I need age and name, correct? So let's go and do that. I'll say public string name, public int age. I need this too. Let's give location too. Big deal. Public string location. Right? I have these three different entities for the user class. Again, I'll do the getters and setters to generate. I'll just do the setters, not getters. I'll do the setters. So I'll copy this. And now I'll do what? I'll go to source. I'll go to generate getters and setters. I'll just say select setters and just say generate, just like that. So I just got the setters created in here and all looks neat. Okay, I'll have one more method, and the method is print user info. Okay, so this was print car info. Let's say print user info, public void print user info. Simple. And I'll just do the system. Okay. User details. And name. Name. Location. Location. And then you have the other one, age. Simple. These two things created. As of now, do you have any question with these two methods? I mean, these two classes. Any questions with these two classes?
Actually, sorry, we are providing the variables like public. We can use only this in the public methods, right? Or we can use any other methods.
The variables.
Yeah, the variables.
Okay, so the variables are within the user class, and these variables are defined in the global location, right? So anything that is described here, anything that is described here in this global location, all right,
okay,
can be accessible within the class by any other entity. Even if it is private, even if I make it as private, it doesn't make any difference. You see, I'm still able to access it. There is no problem in that. Okay, but your question is something that I will love to answer, but when it is the right time, I need to talk about the 4 different kind of access modifiers that we have in Java, right? So I'll talk about them in details. The 4 are public, private, default, and protected. So these are 4 different kind of access specifier that we have in Java. And we will be talking about them in details later on. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So I have just created these two different classes and nothing more than that. Good stuff. Let's do a quick test. New class. And I'll say test car rental. And this is going to be my main method. All right. So I'm going to use a main method in here. Test car rental is a class which is going to be a main method. From here, my kickoff point of the project will be starting. Good. So let's create a class here. Not class, but let's create an object here. Object of car class. How do I do that? I say car. Let's give a name to this object. I'll say Mercedes equals new car. Just like that. So I'm creating an object of car. I'm creating an object of user. User, give a name to this user. I'll say Mandy, right? Equals new user. I have these two these two entities. These are two different objects, right? These two different objects are there to hold information only for a particular car or for a particular user. You're not going to use this to create hundreds of users. You're creating one user object so that that can represent one particular user, not hundreds of users. Okay? How do you do that? You say, let's give this guy a better name. So I'll say Mercedes, maybe E350. That's the object name. Good stuff. Let's give the value. Let's give some value to it. I'll say Mercedes 350 dot brand name is obviously Mercedes. Next is Mercedes dot model name is E350. Mercedes dot seats. It's a 5-seater. What you did just right now is you filled up the data inside these entities. These entities were just a variable ready to store some information. And with this tree line, you did that. This becomes your one single object of the car that holds enough information about a particular car. Similarly, I can create a user. So Mandy dot name equals Mandy. Mandy dot age equals 20. It's a age is basically integer, so it's a 20. And Mandy dot location is equals to, I don't know, I'll say Dublin. I have just created two different entities. Similarly, I can create hundreds of them. Okay, let's try to do some debugging on this. Put a breakpoint here and debug as Java application, and you can see at this stage, actually my bad, I should have put a breakpoint here itself. Okay, at this stage, if you are looking at it, you see that the car object is just created because car Mercedes 350 new car, it is just initiating or instantiating an object of car. It's instantiating an object of car. That's what it's doing. Nothing more than that, right? Okay. So at this stage, if I am hovering my mouse onto the object, you do see something. What you see here is that it has got three entities: brand name, model name, and seats. And look at the associated value to it. It's null, null, and zero, right? Why is that? Because when you are instantiating an object, unless you fill in the data, it is still going to remain the same. It won't have any data. It will basically show you the default value. And that is exactly what it's showing. It's showing us the default values. All right, let's move on to the next three lines and again inspect the same object. Let's look at it now. It is set with the value Mercedes, model name, and 5, seats 5. Correct? So you just sent some data inside it. Now you just got created. If you look into it right now, these two objects, this is the first one with brand name, model, and seat, and the user is having age, location, and name. They are having some value. So you just created two different entities. Similarly, you can create hundreds of them. No problem at all. Mandy, let's say, I would say Ronan, right? And then I'll give the name Ronan. Okay. Age 25, maybe Cork. Yeah. And then at this stage, if you just go ahead and debug it again, then you have a Mandy. Sorry, I have to debug it. Yeah. Okay. If you hover your mouse, you have a Mandy and you have a Ronan, right? You're just creating multiple objects. Question is, where are these objects actually residing? You have sent some data into it, that's good. But at this stage, right at this moment, where are these data stored? These data are stored in the memory. What memory? The Java virtual memory. If you look into my slide deck, you will know that I have explained about the structure right here. You see that you have created a car. This is in the Java virtual memory. There are two different sections. One is called stack memory and a heap memory. And inside the heap memory, you have these three objects. So all these objects that I'm creating for car and for users, they're all residing inside the heap memory section. And the best part is that they have their own world. They have their own isolated world, and nobody is actually concerned about the other entity or other object. They are all having their own location, you can say. Correct? So that's how you just created that. Objects and class. Now let's try and figure this out. How can we store some, how can we create a structure like this? The car rental company that I was talking about, right? So a user goes inside the company and they basically provide you with the information that you're looking for. And then they can basically, do this. They can basically hire a car. Okay. So let's do something. I want to make it as dynamic as possible. So what can I do is, Okay, let's make some changes in the methods. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go to the users and I'm going to use one method here instead of this 3 methods here. Okay, I'm going to use only one method here that will let me store the user information. Okay, I'll say public void set user details. In this, you have string name, string location, and int age. You have these 3 guys. As simple as that, right? Instead of having these 3 guys to do the job, right? I'm just giving one guy to do the job. That's all I'm doing. Okay, I'll remove these 3 guys. And then over here, I'm going to say this dot name. You know what? I want to make this entire process interactable from the Eclipse console. So there is something that I would like to introduce to you. It's called Java scanners. Java scanner input, right? Java scanner input. What is this? Let's look into it. So you see, there is this guy here. It's called scanner equals new scanner and system.in, and then you're saying enter the username. So it will basically print in your console, enter the username, and whatever the value you set there, it will be added in here. Okay, let me do this for you. Let me do this for you and show you what is exactly happening. So I'll just copy this line and I will create this, put it here. Okay, so scanner is coming from Java itself. You see import scanner from java.util package. Done with that. And then once you're done with this, you're going to say system.out.println, enter name. All right. And then you're going to say something like this. You're going to say name, basically this dot name is equals to my object dot, I just say scan dot next line. Okay, let me just do it for another 2 guys so that I can test it with you guys. All right, so this one and this one. So enter name, enter location, and enter age. All right, and then I'm gonna do something like one minute. We're gonna do something like this is user details, right? Okay, so this is going to be location. I'm just trying to plan out the whole situation. Let me think. So this is 3 different guys I just got. What's your problem? Okay, I have to convert this to a int because it's a string. So what I'll do is I just say dot next int, just like that. Okay, so this 3 guys I used, and this will help me to enter some data. Okay, so the question is, how do I create multiple users? This is one method, I understand, and the method is just helping me to set some value inside these 3 variables. So I'll just take them down. I don't need them. Okay, good stuff. I take them down. I don't need them. And then I'm just trying to go back to my car rentals, and I will remove these 3 guys as well. Okay. So the idea is I want to create multiple users at runtime. Question is, can I do that? So basically, you understand what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to use the same structure to create multiple objects. I should be able to do that.
So Souvik, are you trying to call the set method or are you doing it through the variables?
No, I'll do it with the set method that I created right now.
Then you can do it, I guess, suppose.
No, it's not so simple. I don't want to do it just by calling the method. I want to create the objects. I want to create each and every object dynamically so that it will make sense. Instead of just, for example, I need 10 users to be created. Okay, I need 10 users to be created. So how can I do that is the question. I can do one thing. Let's see I can do one thing. But then it will store. Let's see, let's try something. What I'll do is I would use the same scan object once again. All right. And then I will go back to this guy and I'll say, enter number of users. Okay, enter number of users. And what I'll do is I'll say int user number, or number of users, right, equals scan dot next int. Okay, I'm just trying this thing for the very first time. I'm trying to create a system in the live class, but so I have to try a few things here and there. So I'm just trying to understand what is the user name or number I just got. I see number of users is this. That's good. And then I'll do something. I'll say I'm creating an array of objects. So, or maybe an array of users. Yeah, let's create an array of users. So user array user list equals to new user. And then over here, I want to say that how many actual user I'm trying to create. So number of users. Okay, so the idea is this. Let me talk about the idea. The idea is this. The idea is that I am trying to create a simple list. Okay, basically an array. And dynamically, I will know that how many users I'm trying to fill in here. Okay, so for example, if I say I am trying to fill in 10 users, so I will have 10 different guys here. And each and every one of these cells that you see is going to be a different user. User 1, user 2, user 3, so on and so forth. Each and every one of them should be a different user. Okay, so let's do something like this. Instead of creating, there is only one problem will happen. The problem will be with the garbage collector. Yeah, because if I dynamically create this object, then, for example, what I can do is I can do something like this. I can say user equals new user, right? And then what I can do is I can just say user dot set user details. Now here I'm setting the user details, name, location, and the age. And then this data is associated with this particular object. Now, if I put this object inside this location, and then if I run a loop to add one more user over here, then it will simply override the previous user. So I'm just thinking, how do I do that? I have to just do some Googling here. 1 minute. Creating a Java object at runtime. Creating Java objects with different Java name, object name at runtime. Something like this I have to say so that I can, yeah, you see, create a Java object in this runtime. So we can look at this and then probably figure this out a little bit. We'll see. So what they're trying to do is you're trying to create a string class name, all right? Class C, class for name, all right? Object O equals instance. You know what, guys? I can do this, but this will not make sense to you. Here they're creating an object of class and then creating a new instance of that object. And that's why they're making it possible. No, let's not do that. You know, at this stage, if I do it, it will be very confusing for you. Let's not do it. I was trying to think of a simple situation, but no, that is not making sense. Let's do it. Not being dynamic, I will make it simple so that it makes sense to you. In the class 2, if I talk about those concepts, then it will be really confusing. So let's not do the user list. I'm just going to have one method here. So Mandy dot set user details. It is Mandy here. The location is Dublin. And number of, is the age is 20, right? And then I have Ronan. So Ronan dot set user details. This is Ronan. This is Cork. And this is 25. Okay. So basically we are the same situation. We didn't do really anything here. So I just have two different users here. Good. And I have one car. I can add more cars here. Let's do one thing. Let's create another few cars so that you can get to understand it better. So I just say this as Audi A3, and this is Mazda 6, something like that. Okay, and this is your Audi A3 dot brand name and Mazda 6. Okay, change the values. This is Audi, this is A3, and this is a 4-seater maybe, and this is a Mazda. This is Mazda 6. And this is a 5-seater. Okay, so I have 3 different objects and 2 different users. That's that. The question is, how can I say that the car is associated with the user? I will again do something that will be a little bit confusing to you. but let's see. All these 3 cars that I have used and all these 2 cars that I have declared, I want to add them to 2 different lists. Number 1 is a car list. Number 2 is a user list. Let's see. So I have a method which is okay. Let me think. Let me think if I want to do it in a different class. Okay, let's do it in a different class. I'm creating a class here. And in this class, I'm going to have a method. This class, let's name it as data store. The data store is a method class which is going to have a list of how many users I have and how many cards I have in my business. Okay, good. So what I'll do is data store, and the data store class is going to have 2 different objects, 2 different arrays. Okay, so the arrays that I have here is basically a car array. I'll say as car list equals new car. I'm creating an array. Simple. I'm creating an array, and this array that I'm creating, I'm giving some default value to it. For example, we are assuming that in my card store, I'm having maximum 20. I have the potential to store only 20 cards. That's the maximum I can do. So I'm just creating an array that will hold cards. Now you can see I'm not saying a string array, or I'm not saying an int array. I'm saying a car array, because this array is going to store the cards, multiple cards. Okay. All right. Let's move on to another one. At the same time, I can afford to handle only 40 users or 50 users. So user list equals new user, and I have a possible to hold only 50 users. Good stuff. Okay. Now this method, I'm creating 2 different methods here. Okay. One is setters that will help me to put the car or the user inside these arrays. Okay. How can I do that? I can do something like this. I can say I can use a method called public add car to list. By the way, guys, I want you to look at something. I want to look at the way I'm declaring this variable names and the method names. It is all called as camel casing. The structure is called as camel casing. Camel casing, right? Why is that? Because you see, it looks better to put it in a camel casing situation because it is much more readable. You see, add, the first word will be all in lowercase. The second word and all the respective words will be starting with the init cap, right? And you can very easily read through this. So always try to use a camel casing situation instead of just writing it in any format. It will be better to do that. All right, so add car list is a method that will help me to store multiple cards, meaning this method can accept some parameter. What type of parameter? Can someone tell me what type of parameter this guy will accept? Anybody? I'm storing car. The idea of this method is to help me store car inside this car array. So what type of parameter this will accept?
Car list.
Think about it again.
Where arg?
var arg of what? Even if it's var arg of what? Come on, man. I have.
It will be
I-
integer, isn't it? Because you're just getting.
Okay, let me. This is a car list. This is a car list. All right. And I have 20 boxes to put something here. What do I put in here? What am I putting here? What am I storing here? It's a car list. In the car list, what do I store?
Integers.
Hours.
Numbers.
String.
It's a car list, man.
Cars.
Exactly. I'm storing the whole bloody car into it. So each and every box will have a car object. So I will be using a parameter which is car. And the name of this is car, whatever it is. It's a car object. It's a car. Okay, car is a class. But at the same time, you just saw me creating an object, which is Audi, a Mercedes, and a Mazda 3. These are all of type car. They're all car objects. So basically they are cars. My idea is to put these three guys here, a Mercedes, Audi, Mazda, right? I have to store all of them there. So obviously I need to pass on the car into it. You understand? Okay, now what I'll do is, let me show you how I do this. So the idea is simple. The idea is that I will look at this car array. So I'll say for int I equals to, okay, wait a minute. How should I do this? No, I should do it in a much smarter way. Hold on. So what I'll do is I will say, okay, how do you pass the value inside? How do I put the value inside an array? I use the index, correct? So I can do something like this. I can say, car list dot, I have to see whether the index number, yeah, that's a problem with this array, right? If I can use this guy of 0 equals to car. This is what I want to do ideally, but I want to add a new car every time. So what I can do is I can use a for loop. That's the only thing it looks like. Yeah, that's the only thing it looks like. Let's do it with a for loop. For int I equals 0, I less than add cart to list dot length. So I'm just going, sorry, I'm not add cart to list. Int I equals 0, I less than car list dot length, right? And then I say I plus plus, correct? So what am I doing here? I am looping around the entire car list. Now there are 20 boxes. My motive is to store the data in one of the box, okay? Whichever the empty box. So think about it. If you want to see this again, there's the car. Now the idea is there are 20 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 boxes. Okay. So my idea number one is to loop through this entire 20 box. And then I need to also verify if in the box from left to right, in any of the box, I have already a card existing or not. If I have a card, then I don't want to overwrite that card. Whenever there is an empty box, only then I want to insert the new card object. Only then I want to insert a new card object. If there is an empty box, only then. Okay, so obviously when I'm looping around for the first time, all my boxes are empty. That's totally fine. Okay, but I want to somehow make sure that I want to add them, right? So how do I do it? I will say very easily, I can do a if-else statement. I can say if card list of I, okay, dot get class dot let me explain what am I doing, equals get class equals car no, wait a minute. I basically need to understand whether this is a type of car or not. So just a second. Dot can do it with get class, or yeah, get class is the method that I should be using for sure. Get class dot get classes, get class loader. Get declaring class. Get name dot equals car. Let's see. Only then, if not, if it is not car, only then I add the car inside the car list. So I just say I equals car. I'll explain this, don't worry. And immediately once it's done, I'll do a break. That means I will get out of this loop. Otherwise, this loop will run till the end. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, let me try it first, and then I'll explain this. So what I'll do is I'll go in here in the test rentals, and then I will call a method. The method will be data store, right? Data store. So I create an object of data store first. So let's create an object of data store. Data store, sorry, data store data equals new data store. That's the first thing I'll do, right? Data store. It's kind of a simple list, I mean, database that contains all the users and all the cards together. Okay, and then I can do this. I can say data dot add, sorry, data dot add card to list. And in add card to list, I'm saying I want to pass on Mercedes 350. Okay, so let's see what happens. I'll do a breakpoint and I'll show you. Put a breakpoint at number 28, and let's trigger this. Okay. So I'm now going to get inside this, and I'll show you what's happening. So put a breakpoint here, line number 9, and resume the execution. I'm in line number 9. Now at this stage, if you look into line number 5 and line number 6, line number 5 is, you see that? You have, sorry, you have a huge list of cars from 0 to 19, and they are all null. Why they are null? Because obviously at the very initial stage, I have just declared how many boxes I can create. So I said I can create maximum 20 boxes. So I did. And from 0 to 19, these boxes are there. Perfectly fine. Okay. Now I have a method. The method is saying that this method can help me store a car inside the list. Okay. So the idea is simple. Look at this. The idea is simple. This entire list that you see here, the entire array is you see there. The first element is null. So I want to see if it is not of type car. If it is not of type car, then enter the data. Then enter the data. Okay, I can do it in two ways. I've shown you one way, but I can do it in two ways. So I'm seeing if this first index is not of type car, then enter the data. So obviously the first index is of type null. So I can enter the data. So let's see this condition now. So I'm saying in this line, if car list.i.getClass.getName is equals to car, is it equals to car? Let's see. So I'm saying car list of I, that means the first element. I is right now 0. That means the first element. Car list of I.getClass.getName. This method, if I right now do a watch on it, why am I getting this error? Why are you saying null pointer exception? Exactly. Okay, it is not of type car. So I think this will throw me a null pointer, Yeah. It will throw me a null pointer exception. So you know what? I don't need to even check. I don't need to even check the actual object in here. I can just do this. I can just do this. I can just say, if car list of I equals to null. If it is null, then I want to perform this. Now I'm just guessing. I hope this will not throw me an exception. If it does, then I will wrap it inside a try catch block. But let's see what does it do. Okay, so let's go in here. Is it null? It is null. It is not throwing me an exception. So obviously you saw here that the first element is null. If it is null, then I can place the data here, and then I can simply exit out of this loop, because obviously when the next guy will be getting called, when the next time I add another car, then I want to fill the data inside this location, not this location. So let's see, I'll prove it to you. So I added this list, right? I added the car inside the list. Let's see, you see that now? Let's look at this object. I just added a car object inside the car array. Look, it is showing car now. It is not null anymore, because this line over here, line number 11, I was able to add a car. And then if I expand this guy, look at it. If I expand this guy, it shows Mercedes, model, and seat. So it is the right object that I have sent it here. So this will do a break now, just like that. Okay. Now let me do this. Let me go back here and let me add other two guys. One is Audi. Another one is Mazda. Correct? So I added this and this, right? Now, that is that. Yeah, what is that? And then I can also have another same thing for users, right? So I'll just create a for loop. And I just set it for users, add users, add users, user to list, add user. User to list. Obviously, this will accept user. And here is going to be user, user list dot length, user list dot I, user list I, and here I'm passing the user, not car. The name should be user. Good. I have created two different guys, one for storing data, one for storing user, one for storing car, and one for storing user. And then over here, I just say data dot set add user to list, right? And here I add Ronan and I add Mandy. Add user to list. I said Mandy. Good stuff. Let's go and put a breakpoint right here. Okay. And something like this. And I don't need a breakpoint here. Let's just remove the breakpoint from here. And just let's run this, debug this. So now you do see that I was able to sorry. In the set user details, I have the stupid things. I don't need to, if you ask me. I can just directly send the data inside this. There's no need for scanning out location. Okay, so this name is name, location, and age. And here. Okay, that's it. So let's just try and debug this again. And good stuff is done. Now, if you look at this data, right, it has got data object, the data stored object. You can see there are two different car list and user list. If you open the car list, it shows 3 car object. If you open the user list, it shows 2 user object. And the first one is having a user, Ronan. Second one is having a Mandy. Again, car list is having 3 cars, Mercedes, Audi, and Mazda. Can you guys confirm me that you understand this much? So car and user is a template. I told you that. But from there, you created 2 different objects, right? You created a car object, you created a user object using those entities, those templates. Now, those objects are actually holding the data, right? But I also, in my situation, I also need some kind of a list where I can store multiple users and multiple data, multiple cars, so that I can create a business logic out of it. I can say that, okay, I want to assign a particular car to a particular user. I want to do that, right? So up till now, whatever I showed you, is this making sense to everyone? Yes or no? Just give me a shout, please. Yes or no? Papi, you have a question?
Yeah, it makes sense, but
Okay.
yes, we need more practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Vic,
Mhm.
will you put the code online after
Yeah.
perfect, thanks.
I will. Okay. All right. Okay, give me like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, guys. Let me come back. I'll quickly give you a breather. I'll come back and then I'll try to see how can I basically create that situation where I can add a car to a particular user. Okay, so let's do that. Just give me 2 minutes. All right, 5 minutes, please. Thank you. Okay, so then we understood this initial setup where I added a data store that will store the data, list of cars and users, and car and user. Now, this is going to, you understand this, right? This car rental, it is the main business, this guy. It is the main business, right? This is the main business. Now, what we want to do from here is to basically make sure that I have in this main business, I have added cars. Okay, I've got the cars. I've added them to a database. I've added users. I've added them to a database. That's fine. Now, once I'm done with all of it, now the next thing that I want to do is what? I want to somehow make sure that I associate a particular car with a particular user when I assign it. Assign a user to a car, something like this. Assign a user to a car. So you understand that there is a one particular data that is a list, which is basically car list. In this car list, I have multiple cars, correct? And then I have another one, a user list. Then I have, it is as user list. And then I have multiple users. I have multiple users. Now there has to be somewhere, look at the business logic, all right? There has to be somewhere where I'm doing the matchmaking. Now, my challenge is this. I can do this whole job that I'm showing you in a much sophisticated manner. However, I cannot show it to you because it will not make any sense to you. So I'm trying to use whatever you know so far and then trying to give you a solution out of it, which is making it more challenging for me. But I'm just trying to get there. So now you have users and you have cars. Now somewhere I have to do the matchmaking. So how do I do the matchmaking? So if I say that this is a user and this is my car list, if this user is associated to this particular car, then in this main car list, I should not have that car anymore. And I should have another data set that will just be storing the information about engaged cars, right? This is going to be another set that will just store the information about the engaged car. For example, if I want to add a particular user to Mercedes-Benz, right? Then this guy, Mercedes-Benz, will be taken out from the car list and it will be sent to the engaged car list. Now there has to be another list here that will store all these guys. And when I associate that, when I associate the user to the engaged car list, then this guy will be filled up, but this guy will be removed. I mean, not removed, but one of the element from this guy will be removed. So that is my challenge then. How can I do it? Correct? So my motive is basically to create another element in this guy. And I'll say this as, there are 20 cars, okay? This is my main car list. I can create another car list. And over here, I can say engaged cars, engaged car list equals new car. Obviously, I have 20 cards. I have the capability to store or to work with only 20 cards. So I will obviously make this as 20 as well. That's number one. Okay. Now I will have to make some more arrangement in these methods in this class, right? So I have add card to list. Let me collapse it. I have add user to list. That's great. And then I have to perform another action. Public void remove okay, add what I'll do is add car to engage list, right? Obviously this will accept a car object again and a car, right? Now the idea is that here I will be adding a particular car into the engage list, and the same object that I added, I want this object, the same car, to be removed from this list, the main list, and this will be over here. Correct? So how can I do it? I can do something like this. I can say, okay, let me also do one more thing. Let me also add one more method. Public void get current available cars. Get current available cars. That's my another requirement. I want to also know how many cars are available. So this should be very simple to do. How? I'll just say, I'll use a for loop, obviously, because that's the only loop that it will make sense to you. So int I equals 0, I less than car list, the main car list dot length, no problem in that. And then I plus plus, correct? I did that there. And then I will just be printing out all my cards that are available. So I'll say sysout, not sysout, sorry, I just call a method. So it's a car list of I dot, you see, as soon as you see car list of I, the question to you is, when I say car list of I, can you tell me why I can see this method here, print car info? When I say car list of I, why I am seeing this method called print car info or set brand name, set model name? Why I am able to see them there? Can you guys please tell me? Hello?
Is it because those information are available in the car list?
Okay, again, question is again, a car list is containing what? What is a car list having? What is it holding?
Information about the car model, engine model.
The name of the car.
The car class.
The car class, the car object, not class, the car object, right? And the object is having the data about all the information.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So if it is an object, if it's a car object, then obviously in the car object, I will have access to the respective methods, right?
Oh.
Mhm.
Is that making sense?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So because I'm having all this method access, so which means that if I say in here that, okay, for this particular card that I'm looping around, for this particular list that I'm looping around, please print the car info. Will it print the car info for me?
Mhm. Yes.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get the list of cards. I'm trying to print out the list of cards that I have. Okay, so now what I can do is I'll terminate this. I'll also make sure that if the card is not, if it is null, then I don't want to proceed any further. So I'll just do something like this. I'll say if car I is null, then please just break out of it. I'm just writing this if condition in this one line. Okay, so as soon as this line will occur, you will immediately break out of this for loop. So which means that it will just print out all the cars. Let me prove this to you. Number one, let me prove this to you. So I'll go in here, and here is my add users and blah blah blah. That's fine. And here I'm going to just call the method data dot get available cars, just like that. If I print this, if I run this program now, you will see very easily that it has printed me all the cars available. Why? Because this method that I just called get current available cars is helping me to understand all the list of cards available in the car list method, car list object, car list array. The car list array, whichever is the around, and I'm calling the method called print car info, which is why it is printing the value. As simple as that. Keith, is this making sense to you, or it's too much to process?
The basic concept is, but yeah, there's a lot to process. It's going to take a bit of reviewing.
Yeah. So at this stage, I am able to get the list of cars printed out, which is perfect. Okay. Now my motive is to add car to the engage list. When I add a car to the engage list, then my motive is also to remove that car from the available list. How do I do that? Okay. So I can, number one, do this. I can, number one, say that I loop around. I loop around two things. Ideally, it's going to be two different loops. Ideally, right? Let's say for int I equals 0, I less than engage car list, right? Dot length and I plus plus. That's number one. Okay, and then I want to add this car to this car list. That's number one. I want to do that. At the same time, I want to remove this car from the list, previous list. So let's do that. So I'll just do whatever I did here. This entire thing will be added in here, right? Basically, this guy. You see that? So I'm adding a car into the engaged list, engaged car list, but the same car has to be removed from the actual car list. How do I do that? It's simple again. It's saying for int I equals 0, I equals 0, I less than. Now this time I will be looping around car list object, car list array dot length. So there are two different for loops. This for loop is different than this one. It is not a nested loop. I'm not looping around another loop. No, I'm just having two different loops altogether. Okay, and then I have I plus plus. All right. Now, then what do? I just say if car list, right? Dot I, right? So not dot I, car list I, right? If car list I, whatever the object it is inside this particular index, if it is equals to, I'll use a method called equals. When I say equals method, it will perform something. It will perform the operation to check whether the left-hand side and the right-hand side are exactly the same element, meaning the data of it, the type of it, everything is same or not. The equals will actually do a object-to-object comparison, right? So it is changing, it's checking whether this guy is equals to this guy. If it is, then I would like to remove this guy from this guy, right? So how do I do that? I can, there is one challenge there then. Yeah, if it's a list, then it is easier because it's an array. Okay, think about the challenge now. The challenge, let me show you the challenge. As I said, you know, if I'm using a sophisticated method, things will be easier for me to explain, but let me show you the challenge. This is the list, correct? Now, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So I have a car, and this car object is basically the Mercedes one. I have another car, which is basically the Audi, correct? Audi. Now the point is, if I want to remove this guy, so I immediately saw that the Mercedes is here, right? Because I'm checking in here in the equals method. If it is there, I want to remove this guy. If I want to remove this guy, what will happen, guys? This part will be now null. Is that right? So this guy will not be car anymore. It will be removed and it will be set to null. Null. If I do it, then it is gone from the list. So motive is, if I even do this, then I should push, or I should send this data, the next data, to one step back. And obviously, if there is another car over here, car Mazda, if I have that there, then this has to be shifted to one step back as well. You understand me? So that the array can be modified to simply, come on, car Audi, and then car Mazda, correct? The first guy is gone, Mercedes is gone. So it has to be modified to this guy. So basically I have to shift my position. Is this understandable? The problem is understandable, right? Yes, no? The problem is understandable? Okay. So how do I then shift? How do I shift them? So if I am using something, a higher concept in a collection, like array list, I can do that with a simple method call. I can say dot remove, and I'm done. But here it is not so easy. Okay. So then what do? I will have to, number one, I'll set this to card list of I, card list of I is, I'm going to set this to null, number one. Okay, which means there is nothing here. That's number one. Once I do that, then I also have to make sure that I shift my elements to one step back. So I may have to write another loop here. So I'll just say for loop. Okay. And I say, so here I know the index number. I know its index already, correct? So basically I can use this now. I'll say for j, for int j. Now you see this loop is within this loop. So I'm basically writing a nested loop. So I'll say int j, sorry, j equals to not I, but I'm starting from I plus 1. So this is my first loop, right, where I did the null. Okay. Now in the second loop, I'm trying to take this guy to this guy. So this is right now 0, for example. Always try to draw, guys. Always try to draw when you're doing this. This is 0 and this is 1, right? This is 1 and this is 2. So basically, I have to start my loop from index number 1 and shift this guy to index number 0, something like that, correct? So how do I do that? I say j is I plus 1. Make sense? It was 0, so I plus 1. And then I want to go till the end of the car list, right? So j less than car list of length, as usual. And then say j plus plus. That's my second loop. And in the second loop, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to take up the element from the current guy and push it to this guy, right? So how do I do that? I can do something like this. I can say car list of I, because in this guy here, I can definitely have the access. I can definitely have the access to the next element, right? So I'll say car list. Car list of j minus 1. So j is right now, j is what? J is now 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So car list of 0 is equals to what? Car list of j. Do you understand? Think about it. There are two loops running behind. One is for the I, one is with the j. The I loop is taking care of the situation that if there is a car available, okay? I'm just thinking of one thing. Can I do it with one loop only? Because I will have to, yeah, then I have to set up the last element to 0. I have to set up the last element to 0. Okay, let's try this option, and then I'll try another option also, just with a one loop. Okay, so at the first instance, what am I doing? I'm saying if, so for example, it's a Mercedes, I'm trying to remove it. I'm trying to remove the Mercedes, right? Add engage card. So I'm just trying to remove this guy. So when I'm trying to remove this guy, so I have the Mercedes element, for example, right? Now this element is, I'm checking whether this first element is the Mercedes or not. If it is, then I'm setting that element to null, setting this index to null. Okay. As soon as it is null, my motive is to shift this guy to this guy. So I'm saying another for loop, and then I'm saying that the next loop starts from this index, from wherever it got engaged, from next index, start the loop. So I said I plus 1 because of that. So the first element was at 0. Now I'm saying y plus 1. So I plus 1 till the end, I'm looping around. And then I'm saying whatever the previous element it is, j minus 1, which is this guy. So set this guy with car list of j. Okay, let's do a debug, and then we will understand it more. So here is a method called add car engage list. So we'll do this. We'll go back to car rentals, And then inside this, get current available cars, I'll just say data dot, okay? And then here I'll say, I want to put in Mercedes. I want this guy to be added into the engage list. Good stuff. Let's move on here, not here, sorry. Let's move on to this guy. I put a breakpoint, okay? And let's debug and then let's figure this out if this is working the right way. So I am here. This is the Mercedes object. There's a Mercedes object. You can see it is having Mercedes values. Mercedes object, good stuff. Now I go inside it and I want this to be added to the engage list. That's the first thing to do. First thing to do, right? So I added this into the engage list. I added that in engage list. You see, the engage list is having the Mercedes object now. That's totally good, very good. And I broke out of it. I'm breaking out of it. Now I'm dealing with the next list, the actual car list, the available list. Here I have Mercedes, right? You see Mercedes, I have Audi, and I have Mazda. I have 3 of these guys. No problem at all. My motive is to remove the first element, the Mercedes, and then shift this guy to this guy, and then shift this guy to this guy, right? Just changing the position, correct? Let's try and do that then. What I do, I am gonna just say here, is it equal? If it is equal, then set the first element to null. Let's do. Now look at this stage, let's look at the car list one more time. Good stuff. We are done with the first step. Look at it. The Mercedes is gone. Everybody is looking at it, right? Mercedes is gone. I have just now Audi and I have Mazda. Motive, Audi to go into the index number 1, Mazda to go into the index number, index number 0, Audi to go into index number 0, Mazda to go into index number 1. So let's try the next loop then. The next loop starting from J, which is equals to I plus 1, which means I plus 1 is this guy. I is 0, plus 1 is 1, right? So index number this one. So I'll start it from here. I'll go inside this and I'm saying car J is equals to this. So let's do that. I did the first thing. I did the first loop. And now look at the situation. The first guy is what? Audi. Correct? No problem at all. The second guy is still Audi. Now this Audi will be replaced by Mazda. Do you see that? Mazda will overpower this now, correct? In my second loop. Done with that. Look here. I have Audi. I have Mazda. But now the challenge is the index number 2 is still having Mazda. Correct? So let's see what happens. Let's keep on continuing this loop. It goes again. Third. So now this is perfect, right? Now the second index is changed to null. Why it was null? Because the previous index got replaced by the second index. Okay? And this will keep on continuing till the end of the list. What is the value of J now? 13. Okay, let me keep on doing this till 19. Okay, let's see how does it handle the last one. It handled the last one. Okay, it's gone out of it. Now if I just do the car list now, the car list is modified, totally modified. You see, the car 1 is having Audi, car 2 is having Mazda. Mercedes is gone to the engage list. How cool is that? Okay, we have to test it. We have to test this whole thing with another data. I'll show you. So this is done. Let's move out. We can, yeah, I was expecting that this would be a problem, but that's fine. As soon as this car list is over, I can put a break here, you know, break here. If I put a break here, then I'll be good. So let's just see. I'll do a sys out here for another inspection. What I'll do now is save this and debug this again and just run it. Okay, so no more exception here. So this loop was over. This loop was over here, and this loop is also over here. And now let's look at two different lists. Okay. Now let's look at two different lists. Okay. Number one is engage car list. It is still having Mazda. It's still having Mazda here. Mercedes here, sorry. It's still having Mercedes here. And the car list, the main car list, is having just a Mazda and an Audi. Very good, right? That's how I did my job. Okay. Now this is done. Now at this stage, if I am calling the method one more time, get current available cars one more time, just like that. Okay. Then I must be saying only Audi and Mazda here. Mercedes is gone, right? Let's run this. Very good. Now for the first time, for the first instance, it did print all three of them. Here, line number 44, it did print all three of them. And then after the Mercedes is gone, it is printing only two of them. So we are so good with this. Okay. Is this understandable? Whatever I just did. You see, I am looking at my breakpoints. I'm looking at I'm inspecting each and every object. I'm showing you how did I came to this level, right? You also have to do that. Without debugging, your development career is over. You cannot think of writing a piece of code and then click on the play button and then your code will work fine. It will never, never, never happen. Maybe some simple programs, yes, but anything complicated like this will never happen unless you get to that experience level. You have to inspect, you have to figure this out. So do not escape out of debugging. I have seen so many people, have trained so many people, I don't know for what reason, they're super scared of debugging at the initial stage. And later on they, get to that level. But then I'm letting you know, do not avoid it. Put breakpoints, try to inspect each and every line that you're writing, each and every method that you're working with, each and every variable you're working with. Try to inspect, try to figure it out, what's going on. It's very important, guys. All right. So I did that. Okay. Let's test it. I want to test it. I want to test that instead of Mercedes, if I want to add, if I want to remove, if I want to engage Mazda 6, does it work or not? Or if it's giving me some error. So I say I want to engage Mazda 6. So in that case, this should give me Audi and Mercedes, right? Let's test it. Run. It did. Mercedes and Audi. My code is perfect. Correct? Good stuff. Now, the question is that you got an engage list. All right. So this is my main controller, right? This is my main controller. Let's little bit, make this code a little bit more organized. So what I'll do is I have, okay. So that you guys can understand it, right? Let's say I'm giving some comments. Create data store, right? Probably I'll spend the whole day in Java, guys. I couldn't touch Selenium. I think it's okay because I really want to focus. I really want to make you guys understand how this works. Without knowing this, career in development, whether it's automation or anything else, will not go to the next level. So I want to take it slow. I want to give you the entire thing. And for that matter, if my entire training course goes beyond like 4 months, I'm happy to put the time. But then it's important that you understand this much, right? This very well. So I have car, creating car objects, creating cars. And then I'm creating users, right? Creating users. Good. I did that. And then adding cars to the data store, adding cars to data store, and adding users to data store. Users to data store. So up till now, we understand what's happening. Okay, we are getting the available cars. We are adding, we're engaging. We are basically making a sale, and we are putting a car to the engage list, so on and so forth. We understand this much. Good. Question is, how do I associate a user with a car? So let's think. How can we do it, right? So I want to add a car to a user, right? So what we can do is we can create an object inside the car class, public void, okay, user, and user. I'm creating an instance of user here. I'm trying to store a user to a car, right? Something like this. Okay, good. Public int public user, right? And then I want to make sure that I add the car, the user to this car. How can I do that? I can use a method called public void set user. Okay. Now the idea is, as soon as I make a sale, right, I want to call this method called set user, which will let me set the user. Okay. So as soon as I make a sale, right? So set user, and I'm passing a user here, user, and I am going to say this dot user equals user. This dot user equals user. Just that much, right? I'm setting the user to this car. Good. Now I'm going to make a sale so that the user can be added. Up till now, there is no, this is going to be null, right? Good. So let's do the next thing. Let's try to make a sale, right? This is my main controller. This guy, the one that I'm showing you right now, is my main controller. Okay. How do I make a sale? Okay. I can create another class, and I can create a class called sales class. And inside the sales class, I can do some methods to add the user and everything, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. I want to make sure that, okay, let's do this. Let's create a, in this method itself, let's create a method called as this is a data store, right? Yeah, I mean, see, it is always a good practice to add entities that make sense for that class. Up till now, whatever I added here, it makes sense because you see, I have a list. It's a data store. It's a database. I'm having all list. I really don't want to add add a method like sales method in this because it doesn't make sense. I'm just thinking what to do. Okay. Let's create another class called as sale car or rental cells. Yeah, that makes sense because I don't want to show you a bad habit of putting everything everywhere. It doesn't make sense. I'll put a rental cells, and then in the rental cells, what do? In the rental cell, I just perform sales. Correct? Like what? Like I'll say perform public void perform, or give a better name. I'll say car hired. Okay, car hired, something like this. And in the car hired method, we need to perform few operations. Number one is that I want to engage the car with the user. That's the first thing I want to do. Correct? So how can I do that? I can pass on a car object, car. I can pass on a user object, user, because I want to set a user to a car. I want to do that. Next, once I'm done with that, I also want to perform the upgradation of data store, right? In the data store, I want to set it in the engage list, right? So I need to create an object and to pass on the object of data store. You understand? So I need these three guys to actually make that car hire happen, right? No problem at all. So then what do I do is this. I can say car dot set user. Inside this, I pass the user. That's number one. Good stuff. Next thing I want to do what? I want to pass on the data to that car, meaning I just say data dot add cars to engage list. And what do? I pass the car object. So I set the user first, and then I pass that car object to the engage car list. As soon as I do this, you know what will happen. You know that immediately I do it, what will happen? It will go ahead and simply remove the car from the main car list, add it to the engage car list, and the main car list will be remodified. It will be modified by shifting the spaces. Correct? So let's just do this and let's see what happened. Okay, let's see what happens. That's the only method I'm having here. In future, I will probably have something else. Probably I can have another method called car hired and car released. And the car release, it will be just the opposite. I will remove the car object. I'll remove the user object from the car object. And then I will be removing the car from the engage list, set it back to the main list. We can do that in future, but then for now, let's try to see how does it look like. So I'll go in here, and then this is my first available list. So I'll just say primary car list, right? Instead of calling this method directly to add the engagement, to add the method to the object, add the car to the data store, I'll remove this. Rather, I'll create an object of sales. So create perform car sales, perform sales, rental sales, something like that, right? And here, as a part of this, I can create an object of rental sales equals new rental sales. Yeah, I can do that. No problem in that, right? And then I can just go ahead and simply in this location, I can say sales dot car hired. As a part of this, what do I want to hire? I want to hire Audi A3. So Audi A3 is going to Mandy. And Mandy is having the data, correct? And then get available cars will obviously print me this. I also want to print something, right? I also want to print out the get engaged cars, right? How do I do that? I just go to the data store again. I get another method, okay? This is get available car, then I have it get engaged cars. Actually, you know what? In my wait a minute. What I'll do is get available cars will print me the available cars. I want to print out the engaged cars, so I'll have another loop, but I want to do something with this line, this car print car info, right? So I just want to add another stuff here, and I'll say it as user, and the user is set to whatever it is, right? User, you understand? So at the first, sorry, user dot name, right? Because user is just an object, and the name is the value which will actually give me the name, right? So I say user.name, right? At the very first time when I access it, or you know what, I can do something like this. I can make it even better. I'll say if user dot name, user dot equals null. When it is null, then print something, and when it is not null, then print something else. This. So in this else part, I'll go here and print this. Good. And then when it is not null, when it is null, then I will print the same thing without the user, correct? Then we will know that at this stage, the user is not engaged or user is not added to it. Good. So let's see what else we can do. Okay, we'll go to the data store, and then we'll just have the same method, but for engaged cars. Current engaged cars. Engaged cars, right? And here I will be dealing with engaged car list, just like that, and engaged car list dot engaged car list is a car object, and then print car info. Yeah, that's it. Good, simple. Let's go and see the whole story now. Okay. The story is that I have a primary list. I made a sale, and I did a get current available cars, and then I can also do data dot get engaged cars. Just one thing I want to know is here, I'll print something here so that it looks good. This out. Available list of cars, right? Available list of cars, that's number one. And engaged cars. Cars hired cars. Something like this. All right. Let's run this whole situation. Okay. I engaged one car here. I'll do available cars and I'll do engage cars. And let's see how this runs. So run this guy. Okay, I'm getting some error. And what is that? Available list of cars, invoke this line number 29, which is here. So I'm basically, well, printing cannot invoke because the user is null. All right, I can probably do one thing. I will put this in a try catch block. There are other ways to handle this, but then it is more simple to understand. So I'll put this in a try catch block. All right. Try catch block is a situation which will let us handle this kind of errors. So basically, try catch block means this: whatever lines of code you write here within the try block, in any case, if you receive any kind of exception, like the one I am receiving it here, the execution of your code will not stop. Like you see right now, the execution just stopped. I didn't do anything else, right? I'm just thrown out of that execution. So it will not stop any further. It will not stop, right? So if it is not stopping, then what will it do? It will basically then with the try catch, what it will do is if the execution stops here, it will immediately shift the focus inside the catch block. And then in the catch block, you can do anything. And then it will not stop your execution. Let me show you what I mean. So I know that I'm testing this line here. So basically, if I this line, this entire line, I'm gonna cut and paste here, right? And we know that if this runs, when the username is null, when the user is null, if this runs, then obviously it will throw the exception. What is that exception? Null pointer exception. So I'll say, if this null pointer exception comes here, then please print out this line instead. You see, that's how I'm handling it. I don't want to use any if else anymore. It's very simple. So the solution is simple, right? I'm saying if there is an exception comes in here, because it will come, because user.name will be not valid for a situation where the user is not engaged, right? User is not there. So obviously it will not work. If it's not working, then don't stop the execution, rather just print out this line without the user. That's all I'm saying. All right. So let's run this one more time and see how it's going. Good. All looks super good. Available list of cars, the first list of cars, and I have all of these guys. Good. Available list of cars one more time because I made a sale. Okay. And then it says here, and then it says hired. Audi was hired by Mandy. How cool is that? Let's try to make it a little bit more better by adding a method, adding a printout statement in the cells. Selling, just a minute, where is the cells here, right? I'll just say sysout, selling, which car? Car name is Mazda and model, right? So I'll just say car dot brand name plus car dot model, right? Plus to whom? To the user dot name. Simple. That's a printout that I want to run whenever I make a sale, whenever I make a sale, right? So let's run this one more time. And let's see this. So selling Audi A3 to Mandy. Okay. Sorry, this guy is Okay. So selling Audi to Mandy, right? I just want to put some. I will put some lines here so that it just looks okay. Good. Okay, that's it. Did I do anything brand? Okay, car. And this is model. Right. Let's do something else then. Let's say I want to add Ronan as well to the car hire. So I just go and I say here, sales. I'm doing a sales again. Sales.car hired. And then I'm going to give the Mazda 6 to Ronan, right? And then I want to again see the available car list. I can do that. No problem, correct? Let's go and run this too. Run. Let's see. Available car list is this. Selling Audi A3 to Mandy. There were 2 cars now. Selling, okay, hired cars. This was sent to Mandy. Selling Mazda 6 to Ronan. Available car list is this. Mazda, sorry, Mercedes is there. You see that? I just built up a whole story with the help of Java. Obviously in a much unsophisticated manner, but it can be, I hope it makes sense to you that classes are there for a reason, because that was the first question to me. And it's just not this batch, but every batch actually, whenever they come and they get introduced to class, they just think that like, how do I use it? Why do I use it? Why do I even need it? And that's the question that I always try to handle with some kind of a story that I can build. In my previous batch, I built a story for some kind of a hotel reservation system, right? And this is how you can do as well. Like this code I will upload obviously in the Slack. You can build on top of it. For example, one quick thing that you can do is from the user list. Like this is having a user, right? This is a user list. From this user list, you can remove whichever user is getting engaged to the car. You can do that very easily, right? And that's how things can work. And then you can also make sure of improving it by when the user returns back the car, you also want to perform an unhire process where the car will be moved into the main list, and then available list will be getting filled up, and the engaged list will be removed, or engaged list will be again empty, something like that, right? So that's how you can as well do it. What do you think, Jijo? Did you understand what did just happen?
Yes, but I need to work on this to get more.
Yeah, so always just the best way you can actually do this is, right, just try to think of any system.
Yeah.
Maybe a car washing mechanism. Try to understand who are the main players of that system. Okay, you need a car wash. So for a car wash, you need a list of cars, and you need a system that will perform the washing.
Yes.
And then you can build a story on top of it.
Yeah, that's how I get into this question. And how do I use this class? And that's why I asked.
So is this discussion today is fruitful? Is it making sense to everyone? Charles, what about you? Is it making sense?
Yes, but I'm trying to understand it.
I'm sorry?
I'm trying to understanding all the paths.
Okay. Okay. All right. What about Harsh?
Yeah, the concept makes sense. Like I think
Mhm.
when I practice, it would be more clear.
Okay. Yeah, true, true. I would really expect that as soon as I upload this to the Slack channel, try to debug this, try to perform, improve this project a little bit, and then try to go for another project. This code is absolutely working fine, so just try to use this to improve it, and then go for another story or something like that. Gia, what about you?
So I think I need more time, honestly, to practice. Like the whole concept is clear. Like I can understand what you're doing, but like I need to rewatch the video with the code and go through all the steps because like Java, it's totally new to me. So I need to rewatch the video definitely. Yeah.
But just not about Java. From programming perspective, even in Python, even in C#, in any other language, if I'm asking you to code it, the format of the coding, I'm not talking about the syntax, but the way you look at a coding from a high level and then slowly go to each and every level and then try to create a component, each and every component, that will be same. That will be same. So whichever language you use, you need to think from looking at a problem from a higher level and then slowly build individual solutions one by one. All right.
Yeah, because the whole concept like is understandable how you were like do the thoughts and like the process, like the whole process, like but then I have to go through every steps and coding at the same time. Is like how I managed to understand better, like to code every step, let's say, like with the video. So Suvik, actually about that, are you uploading the next week videos, or like we can concentrate more on Java this week, like try to
you guys tell me. I have no problem. If you want me to give you guys 1 week off and not to enable week number 3, I can do that. I have no problem in doing that. And then next week as well, I will be continuing in discussing a few other points in Java, and then I will talk about Selenium WebDriver and all those stuff. So it's all up to you.
Like in my opinion, I don't know, like I just would say my opinion, then obviously like it's up to you and up all the other guys. Like it's because like I would like to concentrate more on this, because I think like it's the basics, like is the basics. Yeah, so like I need to really understand this in order to go ahead. Otherwise, if I don't understand this, I don't think I will be able to do the other week material. I don't know. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. What about other guys? Other guys here? Is it same, or what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It would be for the same for me.
Okay, I understand. That's fine. No problem at all.
Yeah, I think we need to practice.
Yeah, no
problem. all the Java basics.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's really good. I will then I will not be uploading the week 3 material. You please practice on this one itself. And I know it is absolutely making sense that you guys will take some time because it's too many things to process. It's totally okay. That's fine. All right. So that's it for today then. Yeah, go on, Papi.
So I have not yet gone through the video class 5. So the video class 5 also gives us the details about what you have just taught us today.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It gives you the understanding of classes and objects and all those things. Today, I took those concepts and took it to the next level. But you must be looking at those videos first, and then look at this video again to make it all together. Is that okay, Papi? Okay. Yeah, you're on mute.
Yes, it's okay. Thanks so much indeed.
No problem. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the class. I'll upload this right now in the Slack and then see you next week, same time. All right.
Thanks, all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thanks, Ulrich.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Ulrich.